with up to 200 species becoming extinct every single day. Erosion of fertile topsoil, deforestation of our great forests, toxic air pollution, loss of insects and wildlife, the acidification of our oceans. These are all disastrous trends being accelerated by a way of life that we, here in our financially fortunate part of the world, see as our right to simply carry on.
That is already affecting us in a really scary way.
这将对地球上的生命造成毁灭性影响。
Climate change affects everyone.
Today, disastrous weather dominates global headlines. Since the Industrial Revolution, the rapidly increasing consumption of fossil fuels such as oil and coal has exacerbated the climate crisis.
D'abord, il est en train de se produire un phénomène extrêmement important. Vous savez certainement que, en ce qui concerne le changement climatique, puisque...
Everywhere in the world. And so if you can transform the energy system into solar, into hydro, into wind, we will be a much healthier planet.
这个低碳呢，就是要进一步的去发展非化石能源，这个包括核电，包括我们的风能、太阳能，包括水电，是吧？进一步的降低化石能源在我们整个能源消费里面的比重，是吧？这个实际上啊，在这方面已经取得了很大的成绩了。
In turning to new energy, China proactively honors its Paris Agreement commitments. The world population has exceeded 7 billion, tripling that at the end of the 20th century. Energy consumption, on the other hand, has risen 16-fold. People have begun to realize that the exhaustion of fossil fuels is inevitable. A report released by the International Energy Agency in April 2019 shows that spiking energy demand and extreme weather caused record high global carbon dioxide emissions of 33 billion tonnes in 2018, threatening the sustainable development of the global economy. Humanity is facing the dual challenges of resource exhaustion and environmental crisis. As a result, energy transition is imperative.
如果是我们不对于化石燃料进行约束，不大力的发展可再生能源，这个完全按照现在的这种既有的路径发展下去，大家想想我们的这个大气污染会是什么样的一种状况？
On December the 21st, 2018, Germany closed its last coal mine, ending its 2-century history of coal mining. A miner handed the last lump of coal to President Steinmeier.
Liebe Bergleute, das ist in der Tat ein Tag der Trauer für Sie.
People sang the miner song in commemoration of the past glories of coal, as well as embracing the upcoming low-carbon era.
Friend, hi. How are you? Good to see you.
Adopting the Paris Agreement in 2016 pointed the way towards clean, low-carbon development. This is the third energy transition since the coal and oil revolutions. The Chinese government committed in the Paris Agreement to raise the proportion of non-fossil fuels in its energy consumption to 20% by 2020. Stretching along China's northern border, Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region is China's major source of wind energy. The famed Chinese author Lao She once wrote, "The bare mountains in the north cannot stop gales from north of the Great Wall, nor can Beijing's thick city walls." For over half a century, these tall wind turbines on Inner Mongolia's vast grasslands testify to China's wind energy development.
今天这风大，还下着雨，要做一次这个特殊巡视。巡视的时候一定要按规的规程进行这个作业，远离这个避雷器和带电体。另外要穿上绝缘靴了，做好这个防护措施。我们风电场呢是陆上最大的一个单体的一个风电场，它是不光是中国，全亚洲也是唯一的这么一个最大的一个单体的风电场。
The Xingfu Wind Farm in Ulanqab, Inner Mongolia, about 350 kilometers from Beijing, is the main corridor for the cold, high-pressure air from Siberia and the Mongolian cyclone to travel to China's hinterland. The annual average wind speed here reaches 7.2 meters per second, making it an excellent natural wind field. Wind is one of humankind's earliest non-fossil energies. A major power source for millennia until the invention of the steam engine, it's widely used for ship navigation, farm irrigation, milling and sawmilling. Modern wind power generation began in 1891 when Denmark built the world's first wind power station. It began to thrive in the 1970s due to the oil crisis. China's wind power generation began in the 1950s. Demonstration research on a grid-connected wind energy system was launched in the late 1970s. The connection of Malan Wind Farm, China's first one onshore, to the grid in Rongcheng, Shandong Province in 1986 marked a milestone in China's wind power history. Data from the World Energy Council show that 1 million kilowatt hours of wind-generated electricity reduces carbon dioxide emissions by 600 tons. This means the large-scale use of wind power is conducive to low-carbon development. These rotating blades signify that the 400-megawatt wind project of the Xingfu Wind Farm Phase 1 has achieved grid-connected power generation. It has significantly improved power supply, transportation and employment of surrounding pasturing areas.
第一呢，我们来之前，这个地方，挺偏僻的、闭塞的一个地方，它也没有电，也没有路。我们首先选址的时候，首先是要修一条路的。通过我们的基础建设，他们用上的高压电带来了光明。
Although the road is in use now, since wind farms are usually built in remote areas with rich wind resources, the staff at the Xingfu Wind Farm still have to drive dozens of kilometers to do routine equipment maintenance and over 200 kilometers to go home. Working in places distant from city life is no doubt a test, but less so than the threat wind power enterprises face of wind curtailment.
最困难的时候是 前2年，15年以后，内蒙地区的这个三北地区的这个风电行业发展的太快了，它消纳就出现了问题，限电率甚至达到了可能是30%左右，30%。这个时候的这个，因为电网它这个容纳的这个消纳的能力也不是很强，它就开始给你限电。
Wind curtailment is a global challenge once faced by many Western countries as well. Apart from the high cost of wind power generation compared with that of thermal and hydropower, another important reason behind wind curtailment is that large-scale transmission line construction failed to keep up with wind power development. As a result, the wind-generated power couldn't be sent and consumed. At the end of 2010, China's installed wind power capacity hit 44.733 million kilowatts, making it #1 in the world. However, the explosive growth created wind power transmission and consumption problems, daunting challenges in China's promotion of a healthy wind power industry. A 1,000 kilometers from Xingfu Wind Farm, deep in the Hoqing grassland, is the big coal city of Holingol, home to a cluster of open-pit coal mines with about 13.28 billion tons of reserves. Who would have thought that this coal city could solve the problem of wind power consumption? The blades of tall wind turbines standing on the hills by the Huolin River rotate in the wind. The 300,000 kilowatt wind farm, along with 3 1.8 million kilowatt thermal power plants and a nearby electrolytic aluminum plant, constitutes the world's first local microgrid operating jointly on wind and thermal power and electrolytic aluminum.
为了是充分利用这个低劣质煤，所以说我们建了自己的自备电厂，然后自备电厂利用劣质煤发电，建了电解铝。我们是每生产1吨电解铝，大概是电耗在13500千瓦时每吨左右。这样讲就是冶金行业，尤其是我们电解铝行业，它确实是耗能大户，也是一个高耗能的一个行业。当然了，也是高载能的一个行业。
因为我们霍林河地区的风资源比较好，特别适合建设风电场。现在我们已经建设了30万，还有10万在建。但是就是这30万千瓦的风电，在我们整个循环经济局域电网当中，它的风电穿透率就达到了38.25%，已经超过了风电利用最好的丹麦，也是处于国际比较领先的水平。
咱们这个风电这块，能够在这个循环经济中起到决定性作用，始终保持这个火电，为风电调峰，就是有风我们就发，所以说呢，这个指标这一块呢是完成非常好。
The local consumption of wind power of Holingol's microgrid is significant for resolving the wind curtailment problem. The State Power Investment Corporation's Holingol model won the Innovation Award and gained international recognition at the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Lima, Peru in December 2014. Today, a new 100 megawatt wind farm is being built in this green coal city.
My concern would be around policy not keeping up with some of the developments within the industry. So we need to ensure that the policies are developed that help with the integration of renewable energy into existing power grids.
Sodass erneuerbare Energien heute die wichtigste Stromquelle in Deutschland sind. Und im Jahr 2025 wollen wir 45% erreichen, im Jahr 2030 65%. Ein wichtiges Instrument für die erneuerbaren Energien in Deutschland ist das sogenannte Erneuerbare Energiengesetz.
The introduction of environmental regulations and incentive policies such as tax exemption and subsidies by European countries has led to the rapid development of clean energies in Europe, represented by wind. China's equivalent legislation, which has contributed considerably to the development of renewable energy, is the Renewable Energy Law, which came into effect on January 1st, 2006. This is considered China's most successful economic law. The 10-year period after its promulgation saw rapid growth of the new energy industry. Installed wind power capacity rose 140-fold from 500,000 kilowatts to 70 million kilowatts. The solar photovoltaic module output, meanwhile, rose from 6 megawatts to over 21,000 megawatts, a 3,500-fold increase. On land and even on water PV power stations have successively sprung up. On driving about 1,000 kilometers south of Beijing, rows of PV modules spring into view. Together, they constitute the world's largest floating PV power station. It's now hard to imagine that this body of water on which it's built was once a coal mining-induced subsidence lake. Traditional thermal power plants use 300 grams of coal to generate 1 kilowatt-hour of electricity, according to which this 48-megawatt photovoltaic field's annual power generation is about 48,000 degrees. That's equivalent to a 10,000-ton saving of coal each year. The floating solar array also inhibits algae growth, so it's suitable for aquaculture, which increases local incomes.
农光互补项目呢，政府给的扶持都挺多的。然后我对现在目前的一些经济状况，还有这个大棚的收益都非常满意。像这个黄瓜的话，是这一茬能接到毛收入的话，5万块钱左右。
要因地制宜的在可以利用可再生能源的各个环节、各个领域，要提倡这种分布式的利用。如果这样的一些方向能够跟我们的扶贫政策、我们的社会政策更紧密的、更智慧的这种进行结合的话，那就是我们的一项政策就产生了多重的政策效果，那就是非常好的一个现象。
In 2014, Dalian Port Group invested nearly 700 million yuan in constructing a clean energy-based Dalian port, Liaoning Province's green and low-carbon storage and transportation pilot.
我们全力应用这个光伏发电技术。那么目前呢，我们电源的发电容量已经达到了这个5.6兆瓦，那么实现了我这个大连湾的生产港区和长兴岛码头的这个日间的生产作业用电全部采用这个光伏发电，生产绿色照明已经达到50%以上。那么相比过去传统的以油、以煤为主的能源消费结构相比，那么现阶段，大连港的能源消费结构已经得到了一个明显的改善和提升。
There are now 3 buildings with rooftop PV arrays throughout Dalian Port, a rate of expansion Zhou Guoliang has learned to take in his stride.
我们的中国可再生能源的这种发展，实际上是降低了全球可再生能源的价格。我觉得这个也是我们对全球的很大的贡献。你降低了价格，就使得应用更广泛的应用成为可能，也就为进一步的技术研发提供了动力，提供了资金，提供了市场。这是一个这个正效应是非常显著的。
The Chinese government, therefore, has once more strategically adjusted the clean energy and petrochemical energy industries to rationalize the nation's energy structure. International Renewable Energy Agency data show that by 2025, solar photovoltaic power generation costs will fall by 59%, those of centralized solar energy by 43%, onshore wind power by 26%, and offshore wind power by 35%. This means that in 10 years' time, new energy power generation costs will be generally lower than those of fossil fuels.
I think, in my view, the development of renewables has been an absolute game changer globally, and that's been driven by some of the efforts and the developments that we've seen here in China, and we've seen how the cost of renewables has been driven down.
China now leads the world in clean energy development and utilization. Such utilization modes as waste incineration and biomass combustion have performed well in China. At 6 a.m. each day, Liaoyuan City's waste transfer station starts to bustle. The domestic garbage that sanitation workers bring here is transported to the suburban waste incineration power plant.
垃圾呢，这个进入我们这个垃圾焚烧炉焚烧以后啊，就变成了这个灰和渣。那么这个渣呢，这个通过这个高温这个煅烧以后啊，里边的那个有害的成分已经被这个消除掉。这个渣呢可以综合利用，热量呢用于发电了，就是用到我们这个厂房里边。
On September 1st, 2015, after a month's trial operation, the domestic waste incineration power generation project in Liaoyuan was switched on and officially connected to the state grid. Since then, all Liaoyuan's domestic waste has been recycled and transformed into green energy sources. To solve the problem of urban garbage, China's garbage incineration power generation industry has become large-scale. It also includes biomass-based power generation. This is China's first self-built biomass power plant, sited in Suqian, Jiangsu Province. Every day, Zhu Dongbin, director of the power generation department, leads the team's routine inspection.
还是我，别当手套给带上。这有新螺丝没？换新的要不？反正新螺丝的。换新螺丝。
In the 13 years since the plant's establishment, they've grown from callow youths to middle-aged uncles, along with the plant and China's biomass-based power development.
2006年。 到现在，一直从事我们这个生物质发电。我们生物质发电呢，它是把一些就是说农林废弃物、农村里边这个影响环境、热值比较低的一些东西，在我们这儿呢集中处理，把它进行那个无公害化的利用。最后呢，出来的一些堆和渣，我们都可以继续利用。肥可以做这个农业这个复合肥，它因为我们这个肥是一些秸秆。 它含那个镓成分比较多，跟这个复合肥厂合作，给他们做这个镓灰原材料。
China abounds in agricultural resources. Since its completion, Suqian Biomass Power Plant has turned straw from a major polluter into an energy source. The plant is also a national clean energy demonstration centre and a hub for personnel training and technology promotion.
我们这项目呢，就是建成投产以后啊，是被我们集团有一个定位成什么呢？就是3个中心，一是国家示范中心，2是培训中心，3就是这个效益中心。我们就是说多年以来，共接待就是全国生物质发电企业，大概有接近500人次的培训。甚至我们还曾经接待过一批是泰国的，在泰国建了一个生物质电厂，到我们这培训。
In 2017, China issued the Opinions on the Development and Utilization of Straw Gasification-Based Clean Energy. This marked a new stage in China's new energy construction. Meanwhile, the higher demand for clean energy has sustained new energy's development momentum. Li Jijun is a taxi driver. In 2016, Taiyuan City replaced its taxis, all 8,292 of them, with electric ones. It was the first city in China to do so.
现在的充电站条件好的完全可以说是一个小社会了，比原来的加油站的设施高得多了。充电站里面最起码的具有充电功能，然后还有停车房、餐厅，甚至包括购物，还有这个休息室一应俱全。在短暂的1-2个小时充电的时间里头，司机们可以做一个休息，更加饱满的精神进入下一趟的营运。
新能源车这几年也国家在提倡扶持，我们也给它营造一个好的一个环境引导鼓励老百姓买新能源车乘新能源车。
The introduction of certain incentive policies has promoted the popularity of electric vehicles, realizing their directional clean power consumption. The International Energy Agency's 2017 report showed that global direct investment in electricity had surpassed that in fossil fuel for the first time, a manifestation of revolutionary changes to energy systems taking place worldwide.
Already seen how environmental issues have gone up the political agenda. I think that what we're going to see in the next 10 to 20 years is a huge contribution by China to the development of new energy.
今年我国发展面临的环境更复杂、更严峻，可以预料和难以预料的风险挑战更多更大，要做好打硬仗的充分准备。
Chinese Premier Li Keqiang's 2019 government work report called for expansion of green environmental protection industries, swift resolution of wind, solar and hydropower consumption, and promotion of resource conservation, recycling and green development. The Chinese government issued the Action Plan on Clean Energy Consumption to restrict wind and solar power curtailment to 5%, developing the hydrogen energy industry and promoting geothermal energy will add impetus to low-carbon development. Today, wind and other new energies are fast becoming China's third largest power source. We believe that China will provide satisfactory answers to the questions of how to increase new energy consumption and make new energy cheaper and safer.